Good morning everyone, and thanks for inviting me to this digital event. I'm Tim Pearson, Senior Director of Product Marketing at Nagre, and for the next 10 to 15 minutes I'd like to share with you some thoughts of how our industry needs to raise the bar and move from a content protection to a full service protection approach. But first, a couple of words about Nagre. Nagre is the digital TV division of the Kudowski Group, a global leader in digital security and converged media solutions. At Nagre, we're bringing the next generation of paid content services to life while helping service providers and content owners protect and grow their businesses in the ever-evolving pay TV industry we see today. Ski Data designs integrated solutions to provide seamless user-friendly access for people and vehicles at sites and installations around the world. You may have seen us in car parks, ski lifts, stadiums and amusement parks. Kudowski Security, meanwhile, delivers end-to-end consulting, technology, managed services, and threat intelligence to help organizations build and run successful security programs. And then finally, our IoT security division works to make security by design a key hallmark of new IoT devices through their managed operations approach. So now let's turn our attention back to Nagre. Our aim at Nagre is to connect the audiences of our customers to the content they love, and this is through both tools to drive consumer engagement and also protect, of course, the value of those assets. We provide our services to over 500 service providers worldwide across multiple device types and a considerable number of subscribers on a daily basis. But now I'd like to cover why all of this is particularly relevant in today's market, a market where we see ever-increasing adoption of streaming services, and with that, a number of exposed risks. Firstly, we would suggest that relying on platform DRM security is not enough. Whilst it will provide a level of content protection, there are periphery factors that now need to be also taken into consideration, such as content and service piracy, and sometimes requirements of content providers who may now mandate the use of tools such as watermarking before they license their content. By just using DRM, providers run the risk of regular and targeted piracy attacks, which can have a direct impact on service revenues. And in addition to service revenues, we also mean things like acquisition and churn. So all of this means that whilst content protection is key, it needs to be part of an overall service protection strategy. Let me explain a bit more what I mean. In the broadcast environment, broadcasters typically had a line of sight from the point of transmission to the customer, usually terminating at a set-top box. This meant, and as the transmission went across primarily their network, they could quantify and react to a defined level of threat. However, in the OTT streaming environment, things are not as defined as the line of sight has now been replaced by a multitude of different content options through which to reach the consumer's multiple devices and of course locations, given now that most of us will stream content both within and outside of the home. This maze means there's now considerably more surface area for content and service pirates to focus on and launch sustained attack on the operator's services. So we believe that today's operators need to have a clear service protection strategy, and I've got some thoughts on that we'll now take a look at. In any security strategy, the content protection aspects need to work tightly coupled to the wider service protection pieces to ensure a comprehensive approach. This interplay, shown here on the slide as two gears, are continually turning as this reflects the need to always adapt and always evolve given the continual cycle of threats an operator can face. Underpinning this are four key pillars that collectively build the approach. Firstly, ensuring that a comprehensive security platform that if necessary can cover both broadcast and OTT has the appropriate security clients on consumer devices. This is clearly a given. Secondly, mitigating the risks of piracy content, for example introducing watermarking or anti-piracy services, allows operators to quantify the risk and ensure that they're suitably mitigated. Thirdly, defining where the necessary insight is going to come from about consumer behavior and trends is key. For example, this could reflect the number of devices per account through how credentials may be being shared to potential sources of content leaks. The final pillar is then identifying the level of response and making sure, of course, that this is proportionate to the size of the threat. Legal expertise and knowing when and how to call on such experience is key to being able to manage what can be often a complex situation if takedown or IP blocking approaches need to be implemented. Collectively, these four pillars create the security strategy through which operators can deploy a range of technologies against which to address threats to their services. So we've started to call this collection of technologies active streaming protection. Spanning more than just DRM, this means that not only are there a range of technologies to collectively combat service and content piracy, but that they all need to work together to ensure interoperability. And this is particularly key with the collection of data that drives the overall insight into both the consumer behavior and the potential threats. So now let's review what could be included in an active streaming protection toolkit. So the toolkit is comprised of 6 parts. For some operators, not all may be required and all not may be required at the same level. But collectively, this creates a toolset that can be drawn upon to deliver a range of options as required by the streaming strategy of the operator. Firstly, advanced security driven by a security services platform ensures that there's full capability across both broadcast and IP delivery networks, meaning all content can be centrally protected and managed by a single platform. Next, secure playback provides client-level security, typically through an MDRM approach, but this could also include common client players for operational efficiency, particularly for operators who may be ranging devices that are not served by the mainstream DRM providers. Secure streaming delivers a range of business-focused logic to combat situations like credential sharing, along additional measures such as device authentication or session management, and this allows operators to take control through some business logic of a number of aspects in which the way that the consumer interacts with the service and or how their account is made up. Anti-piracy is another key tool to fight against content and credential sharing, alongside identifying leak sources and performing often automatic and immediate mitigation actions such as stopping license delivery, revoking devices, and sending advisory messages to end devices. Watermarking, of course working in very tight step with anti-piracy, is key to combat content sharing and works in cooperation with the security services platform, which can then take the necessary mitigative actions. And then finally, the dashboards and analytics are key tools whose data comes from all the other members of the toolset and consequently can deliver both executive level dashboards as well as deliver operational dashboards to the necessary teams in control centers or monitoring centers so that they can real-time monitor the network. However, we have so far looked at just the media and entertainment demands within a particular operator, but with increased virtualization, a number of these services share the same vulnerabilities as the broader IT infrastructure. In light of this, let's zoom out to that wider environment. So to explain this, I've created a basic radar screen that has 4 areas or realms that reflect a typical operator's environment: content, service, delivery, and consumer. In today's market, the delivery infrastructure is flat. A small D2C operator offering some niche sports content has access to pretty much the same tools and capabilities as the largest operators available today. Therefore, everyone is sharing, to a point, the same level of vulnerabilities, meaning they can all face the same levels of business risk. If we consider that the content and service realms are met by the active streaming protection approach that we've just been discussing, we can consider this to be the media and entertainment part of an operator, and our attention can move to the delivery and consumer realms. The delivery realm, comprising areas such as IT infrastructure and content delivery, can increasingly be addressed by cybersecurity approaches such as managed security services and/or centralized threat monitoring. The consumer realm, by contrast, now presents operators with a challenge as to where previously the set-top box was a defined endpoint. Today, this extends to any number of devices, which in turn interact with a range of in-home IoT devices that may provide an overall weak link and allow an intruder to gain access to the home's broadband router and then compromise the pay TV operator's service. We're expecting that this threat will continue to be addressed with the next iteration of smart routers designed to forewarn and block suspicious intrusions. When viewed in this 360-degree viewpoint, it's also interesting to note that intelligence of both threats and how to mitigate those threats can bubble up through the various realms, and what is identified in one realm can be used to address the same or similar threat elsewhere. Finally, and in conclusion, the topics we have covered, from the pillars of a streaming strategy through active streaming protection and finishing on a 360-degree view via a service radar, all show the threats and reasons why operators today should indeed consider raising the bar as they look to move from content protection through to full service protection. And this is something that Nagre is doing today in conjunction with our other divisions around the globe. So I hope that very brief overview of the challenges we see was useful. So thank you for your kind attention, and I'm more than happy to take any questions now.